Isla slammed the door so hard the frame rattled like it might splinter. Her father's voice chased her down the hall, a gravelly roar that said she'd failed him again, this time for skipping the etiquette class he'd signed her up for without asking. She was 16 and already felt the weight of his expectations crushing her chest like a stone she couldn't budge. He stood in the kitchen doorway, arms crossed over his broad chest, his face twisted in that familiar mix of disappointment and fury. You think you can just run off with your tomboy friends and ignore what's important? A real woman knows how to hold herself together to mend what's broken, not tear it apart. His words landed like punches, each one aimed at the parts of her that didn't fit his mold. Isla backed against the wall, her breath coming in short ragged bursts, tears stinging, but she blinked them away. Dad, please, I don't want to learn how to sew or set a table or whatever this is. I'm not your doll to dress up. But he just shook his head, stepping closer, the scent of his aftershave mixing with the stale coffee on his breath making her stomach turn. He grabbed her wrist, not hard enough to bruise but firm enough to remind her who was in charge. Sit down. We're doing this now. The sewing machine he'd bought sat on the table like a judge, its needle glinting under the harsh kitchen light. She twisted away, but he held on his grip, a silent lecture on obedience. Fine, she muttered, sinking into the chair, her hands trembling as she threaded the bobbin under his watchful eye. That first lesson stretched into hours, her fingers pricked raw from the needle, each stitch a tiny rebellion she swallowed down. He paced behind her, quoting lines from old movies about grace and poise, things his own mother had drilled into him before she left. You'll thank me one day when you're a wife, a mother, someone who knows how to fix a tear before it unravels everything. By the time the sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the linoleum, Isla had hemmed a napkin crooked and uneven. He nodded once, curt approval, then turned away to his recliner, the TV flickering to life with some western where the hero always won. She stayed there staring at the threads, her heart pounding with a quiet rage that had nowhere to go. The classes continued twice a week after school, a community center full of girls in pastel dresses giggling over lace doilies while Isla slouched in the back, her sneakers tapping out Morse code for escape. The instructor, Mrs. Hargrove, a wiry woman in her 50s with silver hair pinned tight, smiled too wide as if politeness could stitch over cracks. Focus, dear, the needle follows the heart. Isla wanted to laugh, bitter and sharp, but she bit her tongue, threading another piece of fabric blue cotton that reminded her of the sky on days she'd rather spend climbing trees with Jamie, the girl next door who wore overalls and never apologized for dirt under her nails. Jamie had been her shadow since kindergarten, their hands brushing in secret ways that made Isla's stomach flip like a fish on a line. But Dad caught them once behind the garage, Jamie leaning in close, her breath warm on Isla's neck, whispering about running away to the city where no one cared who you loved. He yanked Isla inside, his face purple with words he spat like venom. She's leading you astray, making you forget what you're meant to be. No more of that filth. The ban came swift, no more sleepovers, no more walks home together. Isla lay awake nights replaying Jamie's laugh, the way her eyes crinkled at the corner's soft brown pools that pulled her in. She stitched furiously in secret, now turning scraps into hidden messages, tiny embroidered hearts she'd bury in her drawer, afraid even to look at them too long. Months blurred into a rhythm of forced femininity, Dad enrolling her in cooking classes next, then dance where she stepped on toes and blushed at the boys' forced smiles. He said it was for her future to catch a good husband, but his eyes darted away when she asked about Mom, who hadn't called since the divorce 3 years back. You're all I have left, he murmured once, beer loosening his tongue. Don't make me lose you too. Isla softened then just a fraction, seeing the lines etched deep around his eyes, the way his hands shook when he thought she wasn't looking. She baked him apple pie once, crust flaky from a recipe she'd memorized against her will, and he ate it slow, savoring each bite. That's my girl, he said, and for a heartbeat she believed it. But the pull toward Jamie never faded, only grew sharper like a seam straining at the edges. They met in stolen moments at the library. Aria no Jamie had moved away that summer, her family chasing jobs across state lines, leaving Isla with a note folded into a paper crane. He'll find you someday. Don't let him win. High school graduation came with a dress Dad picked out, pale pink chiffon that itched like guilt. She stood on stage, diploma in hand, scanning the crowd for faces that weren't their mom, absent as always, Jamie a ghost in her mind. Afterward at the diner, he raised a glass of soda her way, proud for once. You did it. Now college, maybe nursing like we talked about. Something steady for a girl like you. She nodded, mechanical, her mind already plotting escape. The acceptance letter from NYU arrived 2 weeks later, art program hidden in the stack of mail she'd sorted herself. He found it crumpled in her trash bin, his roar shaking the house. Art. You think that's a life? Wasting time on paints and dreams when you could be healing people. It's my life, Dad, she whispered, voice cracking like thin ice. The fight spilled into the night, words flying sharp as needles until he stormed out, tires screeching on gravel. She packed that night backpack stuffed with sketchbooks and the embroidered heart she'd kept like a talisman. Dawn broke gray and drizzling as she boarded the bus to New York, the city lights blurring into streaks through rain-streaked windows. Freedom tasted like salt on her lips, tears mixing with resolve. She wouldn't look back, not yet anyway. The village welcomed her with chaos and color, brownstones crammed with artists and dreamers who spoke her language without trying. She crashed on a friend's couch, sublet turning into a shoebox apartment above a laundromat where the dryers hummed lullabies at night. Classes filled her days, charcoal smudges on her fingers, life drawing sessions where bodies twisted free of shame. But the stitches lingered, a habit she couldn't shake, pulling out her machine on rainy evenings to mend jeans or curtains bought cheap from thrift stores. It grounded her, the rhythm of needle through cloth, a meditation against the loneliness that crept in when the high wore off. Her first job came at a coffee shop, steam and chatter drowning out doubts. There she met Aria, 22, with ink-black hair tied in a loose ponytail and eyes like polished obsidian that saw too much. Aria was a nursing student, her scrubs peeking from under a denim jacket covered in activist pins. She ordered black coffee, no sugar, straight up, and smiled at Isla like she knew a secret worth sharing. "You look like you could use a break," Isla said, handing over the cup, their fingers brushing electric. Aria lingered, leaning on the counter. "Or maybe a story." "What's yours?" They talked until closing, rain pattering on the awning outside, Aria sharing tales of hospital shifts, blood and hope intertwined. Isla confessed fragments, the sewing, the escape, leaving out the ache. Aria listened, head tilted, her laugh low and warm like jazz spilling from a basement club. "Walk with me," she said when the lights flicked off and Isla did through puddles reflecting neon signs, hands swinging close but not touching. At her stoop, a tenement walk up, Aria turned, eyes soft. "Come to my poetry slam tomorrow. Bring your sketches." Isla went, heart hammering in the dim basement packed with bodies swaying to spoken word. Aria on stage, voice weaving through lines about fractured homes and mended souls, the crowd snapping fingers in rhythm. Afterward in the alley, smoke curling from shared cigarettes, Aria traced the scar on Isla's thumb from that first sewing lesson. "What made this?" "Dad," she said, simple, the word heavy. "Wanted me to be proper." Aria nodded, no pity, just understanding. "My mom's the same. Says nurses should marry doctors, not chase ghosts in books. But I stitch people back together in my way." Their first kiss happened under a harvest moon, Central Park, leaves crunching underfoot, Aria tasting of cloves and courage. Isla pulled back, breathless. "This feels dangerous." Aria cupped her face, thumb brushing her lip. "Or like coming home." Act 1 faded into the blur of fall leaves turning gold as they fell. Dates wove through the city, museums where Isla sketched, Aryan hands, museums where Aria read plaques aloud in exaggerated accents. They cooked together, Isla teaching knife skills from those hated classes, Aria burning rice but laughing it off with wine and whispers. Doubt crept in slow like fog off the Hudson. Isla dreamed of Dad, his voice echoing in empty galleries. "You're throwing it away." She woke, sweating, Aryan arm draped over her waist to anchor in the dark. "What's wrong?" Aria murmured, sleep rough. "Just ghosts." Isla lied, burying her face in the crook of her neck. Thanksgiving loomed, and with it the pull back to Ohio. Dad called once, voice gruff over static. "Come home, kid. Turkey's waiting." She stared at the phone screen, blurring. "I can't. Not yet." Silence stretched, then his sigh, ragged. "You always were stubborn." Aria came instead, her family a sprawling Italian mess in Queen's, pasta heaped on plates, aunts pinching cheeks. Isla sat quiet at first, then thawed under Aryan foot nudging hers under the table. "Tell us about your art," Nana demanded, eyes sharp. Isla stammered, then found her voice, sketching stories on napkins, threads of color pulling the room in. Winter bit deep, snow blanketing the parks in hush. They bundled up, scarves tangled as they trudged to the high-line rails overgrown with possibility. Aria slipped on ice, Isla catching her waist, both tumbling into laughter, snowflakes melting on lashes. In that moment Isla saw a future stitched from scraps, not perfection. But fractures showed. A shift gone long, Aria came home hollow-eyed from a pediatric ward where a kid didn't make it. Isla held her on the fire escape, stars pricking the sky, Aria sobbing into her shoulder. "I can't fix them all." Isla rocked her slow. "You don't have to. Just show up." Isla painted, then feverish strokes of blue and red, wounds opening on canvas. Aria saw it hung in the window light and stilled. "Is that us?" Isla nodded, throat tight. "The hurt and the healing." Aria kissed her fierce. "Then let's make it whole." Spring unfurled, cherry blossoms dusting sidewalks pink. They moved in together, a walk-up in Brooklyn, rent split from barista tips and night shifts. Boxes unpacked, held Isla's machine dusted off for curtains Aria hung with care. Home, she said, and meant it. Yet the call came on a Tuesday, rain lashing windows. Dad on the line, voice thin as thread. Heart attack. Hospital. Come if you can. Isla froze, mug slipping from her hand, ceramic shattering like resolve. Aria knelt, shards in hand, eyes steady. Go. I'll be here. The drive blurred, interstate humming under tires, Ohio rising like a bruise. Hospital smelled of bleach and regret, dad in the bed, tube snaking, 4 drip beeping steady. He looked small, gray hair askew, eyes meeting hers wary. You came? She sat stiff, chair creaking. Of course. He coughed, wet and painful. Thought you'd forgotten. Isla swallowed. Never could. Talk turned halting, story spilling, old wounds, mom leaving the year he took the sewing job at the factory to make ends meet. I wanted you strong, he whispered, hand frail in hers. To handle the world without breaking. She squeezed back, tears hot. I am dad. Just not your way. He nodded, slow acceptance flickering. Show me. She did, unpacking the machine had given her years back, needle whirring as she mended a tear in his gown, tiny stitches neat and sure. His eyes closed, peace settling like dusk. That's beautiful, he murmured. Like you. Recovery stretched weeks, Isla staying in her old room, posters, faded walls echoing youth. Letters from Aria came, thick envelopes filled with sketches and words. Miss your laugh. Keep stitching. She read them, nights, phone pressed to ear, Aryan voice a lifeline. Hurry back, love. Departure came bittersweet, dad hugging her awkward at the door. Bring her next time. The her. Isla smiled, real. Will do. Bus south carried her, lighter burdens shifted. Summer heat wave baked the city, tar waving. Aria met her at Port Authority, arms open wide. Tell me everything, she demanded over falafel wraps, steam rising. Isla did, words tumbling free, the mending, the goodbye that wasn't final. They walked the bridge that night, Manhattan skyline glittering like promise. Aria stopped midspan, wind tugging hair. Marry me, Isla, not now but someday. When the stitches hold. Isla laughed, tears salting lips. Yes. 1,000 times. Act 2 built to crescendo, conflicts rising like tides. Work pulled Aria deeper into residency, chaos where gunshots and overdoses blurred into one endless shift. She came home hollow, collapsing on the couch, uniform stiff with someone else's blood. Isla waited with tea, chamomile steaming, but words failed her, hands hovering unsure. One night it broke, Aria slamming cabinets, voice raw. You don't get it. I can't just draw it away like you do. Isla recoiled, sting sharp. I'm trying. Aria whirled, tears tracking. Trying isn't enough when they're dying. Silence thick as fog settled, Isla retreating to the studio, canvas waiting blank. She painted rage slashes of black and crimson, accusations unspoken. Aria saw it, morning light, and flinched. Is that how you see me? Broken. No, Isla whispered, pulling her close. Us. The parts that hurt. They fought then, words like barbs, the sewing, the shifts, the dreams deferred. Aria stormed out, door banging echo in the hall, Isla sinking to floor, sobs racking. Hours ticked, reconciliation fragile as frost. Aria returned, midnight, key scraping, lock, eyes red-rimmed. I'm sorry. The job, it's eating me. Isla rose, arms open. Me too. For pushing. They talked, dawn creeping pink through blinds, truths laid bare. Aria confessed the fear of failing, like her brother had, drugs claiming him young. Isla admitted the ghost of dad still whispering unwomanly in quiet moments. Vulnerability bridged them, hands clasped, stories shared until exhaustion claimed. Healing began, tentative therapy for Aria, group circles where nurses swapped war tales. Isla joined her, once circle tight, voices overlapping. She spoke, halting, of the forced lessons, the love that bloomed despite. The room stilled, then clapped slow thunder. Isla took commissions, then portraits of women scarred and strong, lines etched with care. One client, a veteran missing an arm, watched as Isla sketched prosthetic hidden in folds of cloth. You make it beautiful, she said, voice thick. Like it's whole. Word spread, gallery show offered Soho space, white walls humming anticipation. Opening night, crowd milled, wine glasses clinking, Aria in a dress borrowed red as courage, arm looped through Islas. They're stunning, a curator said, nodding to the central piece, 2 figures entwined, threads weaving wounds to wings. Dad came unannounced, ticket clutched like contraband. He wandered, slow, eyes tracing canvases, landing on the one of him, needle in hand. That's me, he breathed. Isla nodded, throat closing. The start. He turned, eyes wet. Proud of you, kid. Really? Arya met him handshake firm. She's something, huh? He chuckled gruff. Yeah. Take care of her. Always, she promised and meant it. Fall deep in leaves carpeting paths and rust. They volunteered at a shelter stitching clothes for runaways, needles flashing in lamplight. A girl no older than Isla had been sat quiet, thread in hand. My dad's the same, she muttered. Wants me perfect. Isla knelt eye level. You are. In your way. The girl nodded, tentative bloom of hope. They mended more than fabric that night, stories swapped like patterns, trust building stitch by stitch. Winter solstice brought snow soft and sure. They lit candles, fire escape aglow, Arya reading poetry, voice weaving magic. Isla sketched her profile, flamelit lines soft as breath. Love you, she murmured, paper curling in heat. Arya turned, smile slow. Love you more? They made love, slow deliberate touches mapping scars both seen and felt. Dawn found them, tangled sheets, warm bodies aligned. Spring renewal pushed them forward, wedding plans sketched on napkins, dates circled loose. But life twisted, call shattering peace, Arya elbow deep in trauma when the gurney rolled in. Isla paced waiting room, fluorescent buzz drilling skull. Hours later Arya emerged, scrubs, torn face ashen. She's stable. Kid from the shelter. Overdose. Isla pulled her into hug fierce. You saved her. Not alone, Arya whispered. You taught me how. They drove home, silent hands clasped over gearshift, city lights streaking comfort. Summer peaked, heat lightning cracking sky. Gallery sold out, Isla's work hung in homes across boroughs. Dad visited again, bearing pie crust uneven but heart full. They ate on the stoop, forks clinking, stories flowing easy. Arya graduated, cap tossed high, auditorium echoing cheers. Isla waited, wings bouquet clutched tight. Doctor, she teased later, champagne fizzing. Healer. You too, Arya countered, kiss sealing vow. They danced, kitchen radio crooning old standard steps, clumsy but close. Act 3 resolved in quiet crescendo, wounds sealed not erased. Vows exchanged, autumn park leaves, gold confetti falling. Rings simple, silver etched with threads intertwined. I do echoed, soft promises heavy with truth. Honeymoon road trip, coast to coast, windows down, wind whipping hair. They stopped, diners, sketches traded for stories, campfires crackling under stars. In Big Sur, cliffs dropping to see, Arya traced Isla's palm. This is us. Unbreakable. Back home, life settled, rhythm steady. Clinic open, joint venture, therapy and art, wounds addressed, canvas and couch. Clients came, diverse tapestry, stories overlapping like seams. One evening Dad called, voice steady. Grandkids someday. Isla laughed. Our way. He paused, then yes. That's enough. Years layered, gentle patina. Arya chief resident badge pinned proud. Isla professor tenure track lecturing on mending narratives. They adopted a dog mutt with mismatched eyes bounding joy. Anniversary 10th candles flickering, Arya pulled a box ribbon neat. Open it. Inside a quilt, patches from old shirts, Isla's first sketches sewn careful. You taught me, she said. To piece it together. Isla traced stitches, tears blurring. Us. Whole. Nights found them, porch swing creaking, stories retold, softer edges worn smooth. Love grew, deep roots anchoring against storms. In quiet moments Isla stitched, still needle whispering peace. The world turned, seasons cycling, but their thread held strong, a tapestry of hurt healed, human and whole. Isla woke to the sound of rain tapping the window like impatient fingers. She stretched, feeling the empty space beside her where Arya should have been. The clock glowed, 4:17 a.m., another night shift pulling her love into the dark. Sighing she rolled over, burying her face in the pillow that still smelled of Aryan shampoo, lavender and hospital antiseptic, a mix that had become home. Coffee brewed strong black, the way Arya liked it, though she'd be home too late to drink it. Isla sipped slow, staring at the canvas on her easel, half-finished portrait of a woman, midlaugh, eyes crinkled in joy. It was Arya, of course, always circling back to her, the lines of her face etched deeper in Isla's mind than any memory. The buzzer sounded sharp, cutting through the hum. She frowned, who at this hour? Peering through the peephole, a delivery guy soaked through, holding a dripping box. For you, ma'am, he said, thrusting it forward. Sign here. Inside, tissue paper soft revealed, a dress, silk emerald cascading like a waterfall. Note tucked in the fold, Aryan script looping. Wear this tonight. Can't wait to see you in it. Love, A. Isla held it up, light filtering green through the fabric, heart swelling. Tonight, their date rescheduled 3 times around shifts and deadlines. She slipped it on later, mirror reflecting curves shed, once hidden now embraced, twirling, once silly but free. Arya arrived at dusk, door flying open, her in jeans and tea, hair damp from a quick shower. Whoa, she breathed, whistle low. You clean up dangerous. Isla laughed, pulling her and kiss tasting of mint and exhaustion. You're not so bad yourself, doc. They walked to the Italian place on Smith Street, candles guttering in Chianti bottles, murals faded but charming. Over pasta twirled on forks, Arya leaned in, eyes sparkling. Remember our first real date, that falafel stand? You spilled tahini down your shirt. Isla groaned, mock horror. And you laughed so hard you snorted. Classy. But their laughter wove easy thread, pulling them closer, plates pushed aside, hands linking across the table. After gelato cones dripping, they wandered the promenade, water lapping, ferries chugging distant. Arya stopped, rail cold under palms. I've been thinking, she said, voice soft over waves. About us forever style. Isla's pulse quickened. Yeah. Arya turned, facing her wind-tugging collar. Move in. For real. No more sublets or crashing. Our place. Isla searched her face, finding only certainty. Yes, she breathed, kiss sealing it, salt and sugar lingering. Packing came, swift boxes labeled in Sharpie, their hands brushing over teacups and books. Dad's old sewing machine went in last, Isla hesitating, finger tracing the pedal. Keep it, Arya said, gentle. It's part of you. The new apartment, third floor, walk up in bed, stewy views of rooftops and sky. They christened it, with pizza boxes strewn and a mattress on the floor, laughter echoing off bare walls. Arya flopped down, arms wide. Home, she declared, and Isla joined her, ceiling fan whirring lazy. Mornings evolved routine, Isla sketching at the kitchen table while Arya pored over textbooks, charts of veins and valves. Coffee passed mug to mug, touches lingering. Evenings, tangled limbs exploring, slow maps redrawn in whispers. But shadows lingered, Dad's letters came, sporadic postcards of cornfields and fairs. Miss you, kid. Make me proud. She wrote back, sketches enclosed, no words needed. Arya read them over her shoulder, brow furrowed. He's trying. Yeah, Isla murmured, folding the paper. In his way. Therapy started, then weekly sessions in an office overlooking the gowanna smells of oil and salt. The therapist, Dr. Lee, soft-spoken with wire rims, listened as Isla unpacked the boxes in her chest, the forced lessons, the love forbidden then found. Progress came in fits, tears shed in the cab home, Arya waiting with ice cream pint, spoon ready. You're brave, she said one night, head on Isla's lap. Don't know it yet. Isla carted fingers through hair silk. Learning from the best. Fall semester kicked off, Isla adjunct, now lecturing freshmen on composition, light hitting the room in shafts. Students leaned in, pencils scratching, her voice gaining strength. One girl stayed after, lanky with blue streaks. Your stuff, it's raw. Like you've lived it. Isla smiled, packing her bag. Trying to. The girl nodded, slipping a zine into her hand, handmade cover scrawled with queer icons. Check it. Might help. It did, pages of poems, jagged and true, mirroring her own buried hurts. She shared with Arya, curled on the fire escape, dusk bruising purple. Read this, she said, passing it over. Aryan voice took the words, turning pain to power. This you could write this. Maybe, Isla whispered, possibility blooming. They submitted together, chapbook stitched by hand, pages inked with their truths. Acceptance came, email ping in the quiet of dawn. Published, they hooped, jumping on the bed springs, protesting. Launch night, bookstore packed, bodies pressed, shelves groaning. Arya emceed, mic in hand, jokes landing easy. Then Isla read, voice steady, lines flowing of needles and hearts mended. Applause crashed, wave pulling her under, tears pricking. After signings they slipped out, alley cool, brick against backs. You were magic, Arya murmured, mouth on hers, heat building slow. Isla pulled back, grinning. Your turn next, doc. World needs your story. Winter gripped tight, snow piling, drifts against doors. Shifts doubled for Arya, flu season hitting hard, wards overflowing. Isla brought soup thermoses, clutched thermos to thermos, waiting rooms buzzing. One night collapse came, Arya phoning from the lot, voice frayed. Pick me up. Can't drive. Isla found her slumped, will eyes shadowed. What happened? Arya leaned, head on dash. Kid flatlined. Couldn't save. Silence, heavy car idling, warm. Isla drove slow streets, slick hands white on wheel. Home she drew, bath steam rising, salts fizzing. Undress, she said, gentle peeling layers away. Arya sank, water lapping, sighs escaping. Hold me. Isla did, arms around knees, water cooling slow. They talked, then truths bubbling. The fear, the weight, the love that buoyed. Arya surfaced, eyes clear. Thank you. For seeing me. Isla kissed, brow thump. Always. Spring thawed, tentative buds pushing concrete. They planted window boxes, herbs reaching sun fingers in soil dirty and good. Cooking evolved Isla's knife work, precise Aryan experiments, bold flavors clashing then harmonizing. Date night theater, off-Broadway seats creaking as lights dimmed. Play about sisters bound by blood and secrets tugged heartstrings. Intermission aria whispered, hand squeezing. Like us. Isla nadit throat tight. Yeah. Post-show bar, dim jazz lilting, they nursed whiskey's amber glow. Aria swirled, ice clinking. Remember the quilt I started? Finished it. Home. Isla leaned in, curiosity peaked. Show me. It waited, draped bed threads of their shirts, concert tees and scrubs pieced narrative. Aria traced a patch, heart embroidered, careful. You taught me this. Isla touched it, reverent. We taught each other. Summer heat pressed, sticky nights, open windows, fans whirring futile. Block party erupted, bass thumping, grills smoking, neighbors spilling stoops. They danced, street slow, hips swaying, sweat beating. A fight brewed, small spark over dishes left soaking. Isla snapped, tired from grating. Aria fired back, shift worn. Words escalated, barbs flying, door slammed. Regret came swift, Isla pacing alley, cat eyes glowing. Text sent, olive branch. Coffee. Truce. Aria arrived minutes later, hair mussed. Sorry. Me too. They walked, park benches damp from sprinklers. Vulnerability spilled, apologies layered. Laughter returned, tentative then full. Hand in hand, home rebuilt. Fall deepened, colors vivid. Dad visited, leaves crunching under tires. Dinner tense at first, forks scraping then easing. He eyed the quilt draped couch. Nice work. Aria beamed. Joint effort. Stories flowed, wine loosening tongues. He shared, mom tales softer than before. She was wild, he said, eyes distant. Like you. Isla stilled. Really? He nodded. That's why I pushed. Scared. Understanding bloomed late but real. Hug goodbye, tight bones pressing. Call more, he said, gruff. Will she, promised. Winter holidays loomed, tree trimmed, lights twinkling. Aryan family descended, chaos joyful, plates passed. Isla carved turkey knife, steady and squing. Fits right, and Nana declared, pat on cheek. New Year Eve fireworks bursting, they kissed, balcony sparks mirroring sky. Resolutions whispered. More us. Less fear. Spring renewal clinic idea sparked over brunch, mimosas fizzing. Art therapy for trauma patients, canvases and stitches. Grants applied, proposals polished. Approval came, confetti virtual. First session, nervous energy humming. Veteran in wheelchair, eyes wary. Isla handed brushes. No rules. He dipped, red slash across rage then blue, calm seeping. Aria joined later, stethoscope slung. Physical meets emotional, she said low. They watched progress bloom, color by color. Summer peak internship students wide-eyed. Isla mentored, sketches guiding. One boy quiet came out halting. Like you. She nodded. And it's enough. Aria published paper journal, crisp ink on healing narratives. Toast raised clinking. To us. Fall wedding fever invitations licked, plans sketched. Dress shopping, chaos mirrors multiplying. Aria in white simple lace. Stunning, Isla breathed. Vows drafted, words weighed. I choose you, she wrote. Every stitch. Winter wedding day, snow dusting, park benches cleared. Guests huddled, coats colorful. Aria walked, arm in Nana's, eyes locked. I do, soft vows exchanged, rings sliding, cool then warm. Quiche said, chairs rising. Honeymoon cabin, woods fire crackling. Days hiked, trails, hands clasped, nights tangled, furs soft. Back life layered deeper. Clinic thrived, patients story stacking shelves. Anniversary, first quilt wrapped, gift exchanged. Love you, she said. Always. Years turned pages gentle. Dad grandparent role awkward but earnest. Visits, pie baked, stories told. Aria chief scrubs starched. Isla Dean office views sweeping. Dog adopted, chaos joyful. Runs park, leashes tangled. Night's porch swing, creaks, tales retold. Love deep roots, stormproof. Dawn light slanted through the blinds, painting stripes on the quilt Aria had made years back, now softened from washes and winters. Isla traced a seam with her fingertip, the fabric warm from their bodies still tangled in sleep. Aria stirred, mumbling into her neck something about charts and coffee. Isla smiled, pressing a kiss to her temple. 5 more minutes, doc. They lingered like that time, stretching lazy until the alarm pierced, insistent. Aria groaned, rolling away, slapping it silent. Another shift, she said, sitting up, hair a wild halo. Isla watched her dress, the ritual familiar scrubs snapping into place, badge clipped crooked. Let me fix that, she murmured, reaching out, fingers brushing collarbone. Arian laughed low. Your trouble. But she leaned and kissed quick, then deep, coffee forgotten on the counter. Drive safe, Isla called as the door clicked shut, echo in the quiet. Studio called, canvas waiting, white expanse demanding. Isla mixed paints, cerulean and ochre brushes, dancing strokes, building a landscape fractured, then fused city skyline jagged with hope. Hours slipped, lunch a forgotten apple core by noon. Phone buzz, dad's name lighting screen. Heart skipping, she answered. Hey kid, he started, voice rough as gravel. How's the city treating you? Busy, she said, sinking into chair. You? He chuckled dry. Same old. Factory slowing but pays the bills. Pause stretched heavy. Saw your book at the library. The one with the poems. Nice. Warmth spread unexpected. Thanks, Dad. Means a lot. He cleared throat. Yeah, well. Your friend Arya. She's good for you. Isla stilled. She is. Real good. Conversation meandered, weather and recipes ending soft. Call soon. Will do. Evening brought Arya home, bone-tired feet dragging. Isla met her at the door, hands on hips. Soup or sandwich? Arya melted into her arms. You. Always you. They ate cross-legged, floor bowls steaming, story spilling. Aryan day of birth, messy and miraculous, eyes lighting as she described, tiny fingers grasping. Isla's commission landed, portrait of a dancer, lines fluid, commissioned by a collector downtown. Bed called, sheets cool, invitation. They undressed, slow touches, reverent mapping, curves known by heart. Arya on top, hair curtain, dark whispers falling like rain. Love you, she breathed, rhythm building, wave cresting. Sleep came deep, dreamless until nightmare clawed. Isla thrashing, sheets twisted. Arya woke, instant hand on brow. Here baby. Just a dream. Isla clung, sweat damp. Dad. The needle. Pricking. Shoo, Arya soothed, rocking gentle. He's far. You're safe. Words wove comfort until breath, even dawn creeping. Morning routine shifted, Isla joining yoga class downtown, mats sticky, bodies bending. Instructor voice calm, flow with the hurt. She did, breathing through the twist and her good old fears loosening. Class ended, coffee shop next door, steam rising. Jamie their barista, apron stained, smile hesitant. Isla. Long time. Heart stuttered, memories flooding. Yeah. You look good. Jamie nodded, pouring lattes, foam art swirling. Heard you're an artist now. Saw the show. Gratitude swelled. Thanks. Means. Pause. You too. Life treating you kind. Small talk bridged years, moves and jobs, laughter tentative. Number exchanged, maybe coffee sometime. Isla left, lighter step quick. Home, Arya chopping onions, tears streaming. What's this? Jamie text, she teased, wiping knife. Old friend, Isla said, stirring pot. From before? Arya arched brow. Spill. Over dinner, words tumbled, tales of garage whispers, first crush, lost, then found in memory. Arya listened, fork paused. Sounds like she mattered. Did she? Said soft. But you? You're now. Night deep in TV flickering, low rom-com dialogue, overlapping sighs. Arya curled, foot over ankle. Glad you told me. Secrets way. Isla nodded, head on shoulder. No more waits. Promise. Spring fair bloomed, park stalls, colorful cotton candy, air sweet. They wandered, hands sticky, fingers linking. Ferris wheel creak, descent slow, city shrinking below. At top, Arya kissed her, wind whipping. Best view. Ground carnival, chaos games, rigged prizes, plush. Isla one bare, lopsided, stitching loose. For you, she said, thrusting it forward. Our first. Arya hugged it tight. Keeper. Evening fireworks burst, color raining. They watched, blanket spread, grass damp, cheers rising. Summer internship, clinic doors open, patients trickling. First a teen, arms crossed, eyes down. Forced out, she muttered, voice small. Dad found texts. Kicked me. Isla knelt level. Breathe. You're here now. Canvas ready, paint what hurts. She did, strokes angry, then soft figure emerging, self fractured but fierce. Arya checked and later, stethoscope listening to heartbeats steady. Good work, she said, low thumb on pulse. Healing. Progress track, journals filled, stories stacking. Donor called, check substantial. Expansion whispered, possibilities. Fall classes swelled, auditorium packed. Isla paced, front voice projecting. Art men's. Show me. Sketches piled critiques gentle growth spurring. One student lingered portfolio clutched. This your influence. Thank you. Warmth bloomed. Keep going. Aria conference bound hotel sterile. Calls nightly voice tinny. Miss you. Bed too big. Isla alone studio fever painting nights blurring. Piece finished dawn light gold. Shipped to her gallery tag pending. Return airport hug fierce. Take me home she demanded cab idling. Gladly. Winter storm buried streets plows rumbling. They hunkered cocoa mugs steaming board games scattered. Monopoly money flying laughs sharp. Power flickered out candles lit faces shadowed. Stories swapped fireless hearth tales of youth wild and tame. Morning snow blanketed hush. Shovels scraped paths clear. Walk taken crunch under boots breath clouding. Valentine's dinner home candles dripping. Isla served roast herbs fragrant. Aria eyes soft. You cook like love? Dessert chocolate molten. Bed followed slow savoring. Spring renewal garden plot rented soil turned. Seeds planted hands dirty hope buried. Clinic thrived group session circle tight. Veteran shared sketch arm phantom lines fading. Progress. Aria promoted badge new. Celebration bar taps flowing. Toasts raised. To more. Summer road trip planned maps marked. Dad joined call excited. Take photos. Departure dawn packed car humming. Miles unspool stories sung radio loud. Stops diner pie mile markers blurring. Night motel neon buzzing. Love made quiet. Big Sur cliff sea crashing. Hike taken views endless. Aria proposed their ring simple. Yes whispered waves roaring. Return glow lingering. Plans wedding loose dates circled. Fall leaves gold invitations sent. Dress fittings mirrors kind. Winter ceremony snow soft vows warm. Rings exchanged I do echoing. Honeymoon islands palm sway. Days beach reads nights hammock sway. Life layered clinic expanded art shows rotated. Anniversary quilt mended patch added. Love steady flame. Sunrise painted the bedroom in hues of rose and amber the quilt draped over the footboard like a banner of battles won. Isla slipped from bed careful not to wake Aria her chest rising slow and sleep peace carved in the lines of her face softened by years. Coffee perked in the kitchen aroma curling inviting and Isla savored the first sip leaning on the counter watching steam rise like prayers unanswered then granted. The clinic called early patient no-show but the space waited rooms airy with light streaming through tall windows canvases lined shelves waiting for hands to claim them. She arrived keys jingling door swinging wide to the scent of fresh paint and clay damp earth grounding. First session a mother arms wrapped tight around herself eyes hollow from loss unspoken. Isla handed her charcoal soft lead whispering across paper shadows forming then light piercing. Words came halting the accident the guilt the child gone too soon. Isla nodded steady her own losses echoing faint but present. Draw the light she suggested gentle and the woman did strokes bold sun breaking clouds tears falling free. Aria texted mid-morning heart emoji followed by lunch. Isla met her at the deli around the corner rye bread thick with pastrami mustard sharp. You're glowing she said wiping a smear from Aryan lip thumb lingering. Long shift she replied fork spearing pickle. But worth it. Saved a leg today. No amputation. Pride swelled Isla's chest. Hero. Aria waved it off blush creeping. Team effort. Like us. Afternoon brought a call gallery downtown piece sold high bidder anonymous. Celebration called for wine later glasses clinking balcony view sprawling. To mending Aria toasted stem tapping. To wholeness. Night deep in couch sinking underweight movie paused halfway plot forgotten. Aria traced Isla's kneecap circle lazy. Tell me a secret she murmured breath warm. Isla thought long. Scared sometimes. That it's too good. Aria stilled hand stilling. Me too. But we built this. Brick by stitch. Kiss followed soft building heat bodies remembering paths worn deep. Morning market bustling stalls heaped tomatoes red as promise. They bargained laughs bargaining higher. Bread warm cheese ripe picnic plan park shade dappled. Blanket spread sandwiches unwrapped stories mid-bite. Aryan phone buzzed emergency but she silenced it eyes on Isla. Today us. Walk followed lake edge ducks quacking bread crumbs tossed. Hand in hand silence companionable wind sighing trees. Home nap tangled lazy afternoon drifting. Supper simple salad tossed light. Bed early books open pages turning slow. Dreams came gentle Aria center always anchor in the tide. Weak blurred routine steady. Clinic group laughter now voices overlapping hope threading. Art class seniors arthritic hands gripping brushes colors vivid life renewed. Dad's visit planned train ticket booked. Station hug gruff back slapped. City tour given subways rumbling galleries hushed. Dinner home pasta twirled tails tall. He eyed the ring gold band simple. Nice she said deflecting. Yours too. Laughter eased tension. Night couch talk late whiskey sipped slow. Proud he said quiet. Of both. Morning goodbye tight. Visit soon. Promise. Fall classes new semester energy buzzing. Syllabus past discussion sparked. Student essay landed desk words raw adoption story fractured family mended. Office hours lingered advice given. You listen she said packing bag. Really listen. Warmth. Try to. Aria conference again slides prep nerves jangling. Rehearsal living room pacing. You got this Isla coached cue cards flipped. Flight off she waved from curb. Calls came daily updates jokes landing. Solo night studio called paints wet dreams on canvas. Return flowers clutched. Missed you. Winter holidays tree lot needles sharp. Selection debated height perfect. Light strung ornaments hung memories glass. Baking cookies shapes lopsided icing drips. Aryan family arriving chaos pots bubbling. Table set plates past grace said hands linked. To family she whispered. Broadened. New Year quiet toast bubbles rising. Resolutions soft grow together. Spring clinic expansion rooms added staff hired. Open house mingling donors chatting. Patient stories shared circle tight. Healed she said sketch framed. Thanks to you. Aria book deal pitched agent excited. Memoir stitches and scalpels. Summer vacation planned beach house rented waves calling. Drive coastal windows down salt air whipping. Arrival sand hot unpacking swift. Days red buried toes in wet sand. Night's fire pit sparks flying stories roasted. One evening sunset bleeding orange Aria knelt sand cool. This ring she said old one new setting. Renew us. Tears salt Isla yes forever. Return glow sun-kissed plans wedding vow renewal loose. Fall leaves crunch wedding small circle tight. Vows whispered park bench witness trees. Ring slipped I still do. Honeymoon city lights Paris cafes lingering. Life deep in clinic book published signings packed. Anniversary 20th quilt wrapped stories sewn. Dad tales grandfather now stories for the kids none yet but dreamed. Aria Dean hospital tours led. Isla gallery owned shows rotated. Garden bloomed herbs clipped meals seasoned. Night swing porch creek memories sifted. Love legacy passed on quiet strong. In the end wounds healed not hidden but honored threads of a life woven full human and true.